Hello again.
It's your Desperate House Sitters.
Special edition.
Yeah, because we're not house sitting.
No.
So this is a special edition. However, it's from Costa Rica.
Yes, we are in the jungle right now. You can hear some background noises.
Yep. And why are we desperate? Why are we desperate, Suzanne?
Oh my God, we are so desperate this time.
So we did something different for Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So we did a work and travel.
Yeah.
A little story here. We thought we were going to stay in Australia.
Yeah, in Queensland.
In Queensland, and then that didn't want to work out. So we started looking for alternatives, and we found this opportunity to do some work and travel at a retreat center
in Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica. We thought, wow, that sounds really great.
We had a nice interview with the owner to start with, so it kind of sounded like, yeah, you just work 3 hours a day, and I basically want you to help me doing videos and social media content and be here and make sure that everything looks nice, and it's not a heavy job to do because I have staff for everything. So yeah, basically be here, and when the retreat goes on, support me a little bit with that. But that was a deal, right? So
yeah, and in exchange for that, we got accommodation and food.
And so we thought, well, sounds like we can manage that. So we took the long journey over, which was quite a long one.
Oh yeah, we left Perth, and we had a 40-hour trip. So we flew from Perth to Singapore to Los Angeles to Liberia in western Costa Rica.
Yeah, and we took 5 days off to adapt to the time zones and to get over the jet lag, so we are not arriving in a totally dead state. So
we're 14-hour difference in the time zone. So
Yeah.
basically we went from day to night, and
Yeah.
we spent the first 2 days in a hammock on the beach
to get into
like
it again.
zombies.
Yeah, but anyway, we managed to get an affordable, only $120 transfer for 2 hours, which Costa Rica, forget about what's expensive in the world. You think Switzerland is expensive? No, Costa Rica's topping it all. Anyway, we arrived at the retreat center, nobody there. The owner left a message, oh, I'm out for a static dance. You just, you're up there, you just make your way through. I say, well, what?
Yeah.
We should work for you 6 weeks and you are not here. No one there, in spite of the dogs were there.
Yeah. And then when she did come back, she was integrating her dance, and she'd had some plant medicine, so she was integrating. So we weren't allowed to talk to her,
no,
because she was integrating.
Yeah, but she told us how to fold napkins. Yeah.
Yep.
You're listening right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so she did treat us to a meal that evening.
Yeah.
So that was very nice. We went out to a nice vegan restaurant.
And then the story starts from there. So if we would go into every single day,
we'd have a very long video.
We would have a very long video, which is not, it might be amusing for our
followers
to listen to that. But to give you a glance, right? So we ended up, I should translate between the staff and her, because the staff is not doing what she wants them to do and how she wants them to do. In the beginning, I thought maybe it's a problem of translation, but there was another work and travel couple there before. He was originally from Argentina, so he spoke fluent Spanish. My Spanish is maybe 50% of that one. And we were trying to interview him how he was there, because he left the day we arrived, but he wasn't willing to give us any information. So they basically packed, stored a lot of food and left. Not talking to her, not talking to us. And we were kind of,
That's a little weird.
That's not a good sign, isn't it?
So the day after we arrived, the retreat leaders for the next retreat arrived.
Yeah. And then we were kind of supposed to do staff commands. Can you say commands?
Instructions.
And I didn't even know what to instruct, because we had no introduction, we had no whatever.
She didn't even walk us around the retreat centre.
Nothing.
And then expected us to know where everything was, what numbers the different casitas were.
What the daily task is and all that. She and we had no idea.
No. We're good, but we're not that good.
No, not that. We can't read minds,
Not yet.
Not yet. But where are we getting there anyway? So the whole thing ended up like we were actually doing a lot of physical work because the staff that she had there was not able to do it all.
So, first week there, the pool was a disaster. And so she ended up draining the pool, the swimming pool. And so we found ourselves at the bottom of the swimming pool with buckets scooping out green water to get rid of all of
Rescuing
the water.
frogs.
Rescuing frogs. And then scrubbing the tiles of algae.
In the heat.
In the 33-degree humid weather.
But anyway, this was not the worst task. The worst task was like the kitchen looked like a bomb exploded every single day, and this twice a day, because she does the dinner cooking, and she says she's a cook. Ha ha ha. She is. What is she? How would you call these people? I can create some certain food, and then I leave the kitchen in a totally mess because I'm not able to put things together and clean them meanwhile I'm cooking.
Yeah, because most trained chefs learn to cook, clean as you go and tidy up as you go and so on. No. Hers is just like everywhere.
And either the staff or we had to clean the mess after her. The problem was the kitchen is not even a proper hygienic kitchen. So we had little visitors like
Rats.
cucarachas, la cucaracha,
Cockroaches,
and rats, and other bugs. And if you open the fridge, there was quite some animals in there.
And lots of gecko poop everywhere.
It was just, I can't describe it. If you would go to an official department, they would probably
Department
close
of
it.
Health would probably close it down. Yeah, in England, to have these ratings for kitchens, it would be a 0.
A -1.
-1.
Anyway, so we had to deal with that. And then on top of that, there was this beautiful, wonderful stuff. So we're talking about 3 ladies doing the rooms, housekeeping,
cooking, washing up,
preparing the breakfast actually, and helping with supplying the cooking. And then we had this wonderful gardener, a really nice young guy, and they were all very, very open, very nice. But one woman was new there and she didn't know what to do, and she asked me all the time and said, sorry, I can't tell you because I don't know anything.
We don't know either.
So we kind of ended up being all in this group of, okay, we don't know what to do, but anyway. So, and as a manager of this property, and she is partly owning it, I think, a little bit, or maybe the rest of the investors.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was kind of very, very interesting because she doesn't speak Spanish.
Or very little.
Or she doesn't want to learn it. She's there 3 years. So she decided, obviously with the former workaways, to have a daily routine, which they have to follow, which is totally ridiculous nonsense in the way how she did it. On top of that, she's giving orders every half an hour via WhatsApp.
Using Google Translate.
And you can imagine that not everything is translated correctly the way how it should be. So the staff got messages every single day. Do this extra, do that extra, do this and do that, and blah, 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 blah. They were totally overwhelmed.
And then she was surprised when they didn't do it properly.
Yeah.
And then they didn't do it the way that she wanted them to do it.
And then she blamed us for not doing a good translation or whatever. And in the end, we had a joke coming up. Who got the wet fish today?
So there was this old comedy sketch in the UK a few years ago where this guy was telling this person off, and every time he used to tell him off, he used to get a wet fish and slap him around the cheeks with it. So that was the standing joke, was who's going to get the wet fish today? Yeah.
So sometimes it was him, sometimes it was me, sometimes we were both together. But there was absolutely, for us, like being adults, being capable of having our lives in our hand.
Being treated as if we were 5-year-olds.
Yes, and if we were not capable of anything. And anyway, so make a long story short, we could talk about this for hours now. We found out that she is a total maniac. By living with her 6 weeks, we saw what actually happened. Like, if a person has a splitted personality and on top of that takes drugs every day, and on top of that having this belief that she's the only one capable of doing things right and all the others are wrong, you know what we were in. This is why we were quite desperate, weren't we?
We were desperate, and you know, we actually handled it in a very positive way, and we laughed about it and so on. But actually, it was still quite challenging to be in that energy
every single day
in that situation,
Yeah.
because it's like walking on eggshells, wondering when you're going to crack through and hit the yolk.
Yeah, and the next slap was a fish.
Is going to happen. And so the times that she left and she wasn't there, we were like,
Oh, finally we can do some laundry. Oh, finally we can get something out of the fridge because she didn't cook for us. She was supposed to cook for us and she only cooked when there were guests there. So the rest of the time we had to see whatever we find in the fridge, and most of that was rotten because there was no kitchen management. Anyway, so very desperate experience. So what is the message here for you? If you ever think you do a little bit of work on the travel as an adult, being a little bit older like we are, you probably really check out any reviews from other previous work and travelers there before you start even thinking of applying. We didn't find any, that's why we couldn't ask anyone.
No, but also it's interesting to understand this person's behaviour. So this person behaves very narcissistically, and if that, and gaslights as well, and if you were to challenge this person on any of those things, she would be like, "Oh, I'm the most perfect person in the world,"
Yeah.
or she would be diplomatically, "Oh, I take the feedback then, and I'll do this, that, and the other," and it's all just blah blah, and she doesn't actually mean it. And so when you're dealing with someone like that, it's extremely challenging to get anywhere, because the normal rules of how you would speak to someone or try to negotiate with someone or try to reason with someone just don't work.
Well, we just give you a brief final statement about that, because we decided to stay because Costa Rica is very, very, very expensive to travel in. We managed to stay and survive there 6 weeks, and then she didn't manage to drive us apart, so we were still a strong team together. We take the fishes in our faces. But at the last day, the real face came up, because the staff started to talk to us and open up their hearts, and one of them were crying. And they felt so mistreated, they mistrusted, and in the end she didn't even pay them. So all of them didn't got their last payments, and she was not even telling them when she's gonna pay them. So when we left, the day we left, none of the staff was coming back to work.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to support them, trying to find them new jobs, because we made networks over there. We're trying to give them recommendations so they find a better job, and because they were really good people. But our work stay ended up into a very challenging life experience, I would say.
More so for you, because you've not really dealt with people like that.
No.
Suzanne, if she'd have had somebody like that in the past, there'd have been history in seconds.
Yeah, I would leave.
Whereas I have slightly more experience at putting up with that sort of behaviour, and so it was particularly challenging for you.
Yeah, but I survived with your support.
So that's us desperate in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and if you ever go to Costa Rica, please make sure you have thousands of dollars on your bank account, or euros, or whatever you use, because this country is extremely expensive. And it's a lot to see here, but
it's really beautiful.
It's beautiful, but there's the other side.
But yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for listening. We are got house sits coming up, haven't we? So there's
the next house sit is in Florida, so the next one will be from Florida.
Yeah, and we've got more coming. So we've got several now this year, haven't we? We've got 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
we will be busy.
about five up
Five
until
coming up.
Until the end of November. So keep tuned. Give us
Sun
a
up,
thumbs up, subscribe.
Follow up.
Yeah, and here are our next adventures and whether we're desperate or not.
Yes. Stay tuned.